Elon Musk has emerged as one of the prominent figures of the 21st century. Possibly, his most remarkable achievement is the establishment of his rocket firm over the past few years. Spacex has effectively introduced several rockets, even sending humans into space back and forth to the International Space Station once more to arrive at this place. Hello and welcome to Z. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. SpaceX had to overcome numerous unsuccessful launches that nearly cost money. At the moment, the business does everything using these failures spark change and innovation, resulting in the well-known SpaceX. So relax while we look at it today. 5 disastrous SpaceX launch attempts wrong. Elon Musk is recognized as a breakthrough, enabling what was once impossible, considered impossible before Musk, building a name for himself in the space sector. NASA had been carrying out shuttle launches and employing boosters to launch spacecraft into space that would separate and merely retreat where they would be in the ocean. Gathered and repurposed. This approach, Musk determined, was not as, hence he and his team created a viable method by which the boosters can both direct they bring themselves back to Earth, but to be able to land upright. I'm confident we've all seen this online someplace. However, these landings weren't always successful. Planned events occurred on January 17th. During 2016, a Falcon 9 rocket was launched to the multinational oceanography project Jason 3 space satellite. The launch went flawless, with the phases just separating in the intended manner. The rocket to land on was the only thing remaining. Cameras were on the barge in the ocean, rolling when the engine ran its self-correcting techniques and arranged with the landing platform for it. Rocket carefully descended, and the engine stopped running. However, after 2 or 3 seconds, it was clear that something wasn't right. Following the rocket's landing, and the landing arms came into proximity to the platform, one arm wasn't fully extended. The rocket's weight should be secured was too much, causing it to topple in a spectacular explosion upon collision. There was nobody aboard the barge, therefore there was injuries resulted from this. Elon Musk has not been reluctant to provide the globe why he made the decision to begin. He was aiming for a space program. Not only to lower the price of space, not only for transportation, but also to, he is aware that our planet can reach Mars, help us for a limited time, and that we eventually have to turn to other celestial bodies to settle on and begin brand new civilizations. By doing this, must mention Musk's SpaceX program with some incredibly original designs, large spacecraft that was capable of get individuals into space, but that might likewise take off and land like no other spaceship had accomplished in the past. How the spacecraft design for SpaceX was created in 2020. On December 23rd, SpaceX conducted its test flight at high altitude. During this test, the spaceship SN8 12-story tall vessel took off to an around 12.5 kilometers above sea level on each of its 3 Raptor engines. When the engines hit their peak, turned off, and the spacecraft crashed backwards and downwards in a horizontal, headed in a controlled belly flop pose direction of its launch pad. Just before the spacecraft touches down, a booster was fired to turn it vertically so that it could quickly land upright. Descending was a little excessive, and the rocket made a harsh landing, causing a dazzling firestorm to emerge. This crash would be a shock to most individuals. A major letdown, but Elon Musk isn't. He was truly delighted with most individuals. The results of the exam, even going so far as to assert that he truly anticipated the crash of a craft. Every failure, in Musk's opinion, is an opportunity to get fresh knowledge. Therefore, he knew and recognized that this collision was advancing in the direction of his goal of placing humans on Mars. SpaceX's spaceship component is no longer there. Through a number of prototypes, each modifying little from the previous, as engineers are educated about errors and how to fix them. Following the SN8, Musk, along with the rest of the SpaceX team, continued the testing. The routine of Starship SN9 was the same. It would take off many miles above the Earth's surface and possess a regulated return to its natural position. At least it was the outcome that planned, similar to the SN8, which is not quite what happened. That is absurd. Okay, when the rocket descended once more, it was inability to slow down sufficiently or possibly stand upright. It is believed that it is the cause of this. One of the three engines failed on. Since the engine didn't start, there was insufficient propulsion to appropriately reducing the rocket's speed. This information was used by SpaceX to improve upcoming examinations. Ultimately, SN's successful takeoff and landing. SN-15 Musk's ultimate objective being to sending people into space. It is essential that there be a great many experiments conducted. We have all witnessed the Challenger explosion. Potential outcomes if even the smallest error occurs when the launch ends. Each and every minor element must be correct so that if a catastrophe occurs throughout the testing stage, there are no people present. SpaceX continued to prepare for manned spaceflight missions. It would launch rockets as well to provide international space with fuel. These launches operated as both a station examinations for their own missions, but SpaceX, serving a function for NASA, had collaborated. On June 28, 2015, SpaceX launched the CRS-7 from Cape Florida's Canaveral. Is on a mission to bring it with supplies up to the space station. A beautiful takeoff up until 139 the flight's initial seconds. Currently, a white vapor cloud is visible. Surfaced a short while after the rocket's second stage was scheduled to the rocket fully split off to separate apart. The conclusion was that a strut that was intended to maintain high-pressure helium and failed. The separation of liquid oxygen gas entered a tank of liquid oxygen, resulting in its overpressurization and rupture. Additionally, independent NASA investigations discovered that the strut was not as is aerospace-grade material recommended. That might have eventually contributed to the failure. The early stages of the SpaceX testing were performed on numerous different. Among such rockets was the Falcon 1. Throughout this set of testing, there were certain malfunctions and explosions that highlighted a lot about the shortcomings in the design need modification, but that's just according to some. The learning process with Musk. The date of this video is August 2nd, 2008. Additionally, the third Falcon 1 test, several cameras were installed on the rocket, multiple locations on the rocket to provide the greatest views of the engines being launched, lighted, and the rocket blasted off in a close perfect takeoff. Once it rose to a height of 217, the second stage was separated by kilometers initially, but there was a problem. The initial phase wasn't completely finished. When the two stages parted, it burned. The initial stage truly returned and re-established contact with the second stage. Consequently, the second step of the rocket to be significantly pushed off course, but the outcome wasn't precisely significant explosion or some extraordinary catastrophe. Initially, at least what occurred was that it didn't finally enter orbit, dropping back, traveling through the atmosphere and igniting as it did. This computation error was caused by a few. Once the first two failed, tweaks launches throughout the course of these other changes. The first stage's burn time stayed the same. A straightforward error caused the notwithstanding the rocket's devastation failures of the program in the previous. SpaceX are demonstrably one of the most creative and sector-leading space initiatives in the timeline of the planet. It will be fascinating to determine which the direction they lead us in. To see more of our videos similar to this one, be careful to click the link displayed right away. Thank you for watching, and have a good one. Be sure to watch the next time.